Hello everyone and welcome to the CEW podcast. Now apologies if you can hear the fan and stuff. It's May, it's humid, it's going to get more humid. You're probably going to hear the fan a lot more when it comes to the podcast and such. But welcome to a very special episode. One that I never thought I would ever be kind of even considering being a topic. We are in the month of the 5-year anniversary of CEW. Now, this is insane. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that. Obviously, this is going to be the theme for the entire podcast. But of course, as always, I want to give you the updates on what is happening with CEW, with life in general, and all of that good stuff. So, first and foremost, we need to talk about content, as always. Shouldn't be too difficult to get content out. Might be a bit of a struggle, we'll see. You know, we have some things lined up, as this is the, the 5-year anniversary month, leading into June 16th, which I don't think I announced on YouTube, so, a little heads up for you guys now. Fight Forever will be on, I believe it's a Friday. Yeah, it's a Friday, and I'll tell you why I know it's a Friday. Friday, June 16th, will be CEW Fight Forever, and I can't wait to get that show out. It is pretty much done. I just have a little bit of commentary to do, and yeah, that'll be it for that show. And the reason why I know that is because the 5-year anniversary of CEW is the day after my birthday every year. It's kind of crazy. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and just sort of what happened with that as we go through the podcast. So that's really the only update is Fight Forever will be June 16th, and content should hopefully be continuing as normal. It might slow down a bit, and I don't want to get too much into why or what, but basically I feel like I'm going to be quite busy over the summer, but we'll see. We'll get to later on in the summer when we get to the next podcast and whatnot, but for June, should be okay. It's probably going to be kind of chaotic, so I do apologize if content is a bit infrequent, but that's not what we're here for. We're not here to talk about the future. We're here to talk about the past. 5 years. I never thought I would be sat down in my chair talking about how CEW is mere weeks away from being 5 years. We've been a fed, and we've been a thing for 5 years. And I want to kind of go over the elephant in the room, because anyone that's new, or anyone that's only been here for maybe like a couple years, or has only been here for a couple weeks, or someone who's been here since the birth of this channel, you're all probably wondering, well, you say it's the 5-year anniversary, but there's only 3 years, or well, it's like, what, 4 years of content on this channel? I have to have a quick look at that real quick. I should always have the notes, but it's been about 3-4 years on this channel. And you're probably wondering, well, where is that first year and a bit? And it's very simple. Copa was a thing that happened that didn't happen at the same time. And the original Byronite channel that had all of the CEW content on it, I deleted all the videos because of Copa, and also partly to do with the fact that the environment and the audience I feel like were being drawn towards CEW at that time, that wasn't really the audience I wanted for the channel, so I just kind of thought, good way to kind of get myself away from that kind of mindset, that kind of environment, and bring something new in. So, episode 1 of season 3 came out on June 17th in 2019. So we've been on this channel for nearly 4 years. And in that time, we have gone from 2K19 to 2K20. We stayed on 2K20. We're on 2K22. And hey, who knows what the future holds. I will say, it's looking more and more likely that a move to 23 will happen. They fixed some things, but I'm kind of waiting for them to fix some more things before I pull the trigger. And I also need to get the game at some point, which, you know, that might, you never, right, by the time this comes out, I might already have the game. I don't know what's going on. I just need to find a time to bite the bullet and actually get it. But I will probably have 23 in some capacity. I know. Whether or not I actually do CEW on it is a different story. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the history of CEW and where my thought process was. So, I got into Core and the wacky world of virtual wrestling in, I want to say, late 2017, early 2018, I think it was. I could be wrong. I genuinely can't remember. And it was thanks to a guy who is still somewhat in the community. He's on my Discord server and anything. It was because of a guy under the name of Johnny Lopez, which is a blast from the past. He's a former CEW World Champion as well. And I didn't have the game. I didn't even have a PS4 back then. That's just, you know, how life is. And I really wanted to have a character and to go through all this stuff. So he made the first iteration of Byron on like PS4 and stuff that went out into the core world. And then I got in 2018, I wanted to make a show. So I did what I could with what I had. I had an Xbox 360, I had 2K14, I had 2K15, 2K16, 2K17, and I decided I was going to start on 2K14. What a game. Fantastic game. I created a mixture of people that I had met throughout the community and some characters that I had in my head at the time. So the likes of Byron, the likes of Shane Torres, Ninja Suzuki, who is now Kenito Suzuki, the likes of, you know, Seth Styles, who became the first ever world champion. And I also created some actual wrestlers. So I created the likes like Eddie Edwards and all of that stuff. And I just did a tournament. An 8-man tournament featuring some people in the community and some of my own characters. And it was all AI, if I remember correctly. And I just let it happen. And Seth Styles won the tournament and became the first world champion. And a day later, I did a video where he lost the belt. Because, you know, that's how crazy core stuff was back in the day. And we kept going on 2K14 for maybe like a month or two before making the jump over to 2K17 on Xbox 360 as well. And this was going really well. I loved it at the time. It was an escape from, you know, the stuff I was dealing with at the time as a kid who, you know, didn't really want to do a lot. And core was there for me. It was just a fun little thing I could do every day, stream for a couple hours, have a bit of fun, talk to some people in the community, and just have a good time. To just forget about everything and just, you know, have fun with it all. And, you know, then I think it was it was a little bit after my birthday. I saved up the money to get myself a PS4 in late 2018. And I just so happened to get that at the same time that 2K19 was coming out. So I got 2K19 with the pre-order bonuses with Ronda Rousey and Rey Mysterio. And I just started making the roster again. And a lot of the images that you're seeing on the screen right now are images of some of the first creations and the first looks of some of the characters that I made in 2K19. And, you know, it wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but we had a higher quality now, because originally I was filming stuff on my phone, pointing at my TV screen, and the PS4 just had an inbuilt recorder and could live stream and stuff just straight on the PS4. So that's what I did for the longest time when it came to, you know, CEW. And it was going really well. We were approaching CEW Mania 2, and I just wasn't feeling it, because I was doing it for so long. I was streaming not daily, but it was a lot of content that I was making, and obviously I did commentary, so I had to sit down and put a lot of time aside for it. And so in early 2019, I took my first break for like a month, and I decided in that time to kind of get rid of all of the content on the Byronite channel because of the Copa stuff. And then this channel that you're on right now was originally called Byronite Rebirth, because I wanted to come back to cool. And you'll find that this is a pattern when it comes to my time doing things, because taking breaks is important, and taking breaks allows you to truly miss doing something. So that's the advice I'll always give to people, is just take breaks. If you need to take some time, take some time. And so when I came back in 2019 on June 17th and did Season 3, that's when the ball kind of got rolling, but then didn't get rolling again. And I don't want to bring up some, like, sore topics, because that's not what we're here for, but let's just say it was a lot of personal demons that happened around about this sort of time. A lot of just very, very negative feelings, and a lot of just very bad places for me. I was in a very bad place at the time, and I just crumbled. I absolutely crumbled. And that's when I started to notice I wasn't really enjoying this as much, you know. No, the Copa stuff happened in late 2019, I think. I could be wrong. Because I think the Byronite channel content was still on there, but I wanted to get away from that channel, so I still did Rebirth. I don't know what, I don't know what would it be, 16-year-old Byron was thinking at the time. So, you never know. Like, it could have been anything, really. But then I stopped doing content, or at least core content, in November of 2019. And I took a break for about a month. They patched Creator Championship into 2K20. I did a video on that. I did 2 videos on that. And a lot of people grilled me for my videos, but they also got a lot of viewership, and that's kind of crazy. And that's when I realized that I could actually do something cool with not just core content, not just 2K content, but YouTube videos as a whole. That's when I started to realize that there's more to it than just creating a video. And that's where Universe Mode comes in. Universe Mode was a short-lived, I'd say short-lived, but it went for like a good couple months, which for a lot of series in this on this channel, couple months is a very good time. We went from Backlash to SummerSlam to Money in the Bank, and we were doing the build to Survivor Series when 2K20 decided to corrupt my save. And it was at that point where I was like, I don't want to have to recreate the arenas. I don't want to have to recreate the belts, tweak some of the movesets I had already tweaked, and all of that stuff. So I decided it's time to get the band back together, and it was time to create CEW Retro. A little flashback, a little hark to what CEW used to be. And we started with Beefomania, which was such a fun show. I'm still gutted when it comes to Beefomania, and I'll explain to you why. So I had Lucky4423, come in and do commentary for the, I I think it was it the Vader Memorial Battle Royal or something like that? It was a Battle Royal. I forget what I called it, but it was like a 10-man, was it a 10-man rumble? Yeah, basically it was a 10-man rumble. And I had Lucky on commentary for that. And I think I also had him on commentary for the pre-show. And Share Factory just wasn't having it. So we have commentary, and we know, I kind of remember what was said for a lot of it. But there was commentary there that unfortunately just never saw the light of day. And that just sucks, because it was so cool. It was a lot of fun. And yeah. But Beefomania happened. It was a fun show. Had some really good matches. And it kind of set the tone for what CEW was going to be for the next couple years. We then stayed on 2K20 when so many other channels, you know, left 2K20. And I think that's kind of what made CEW feel special. What made it feel unique was that so many other places had gone back to 2K19, had gone back to a game that they deemed to be more stable, that they deemed to be more fun. And whilst I agree that it was more stable, to me 2K20 was more fun. It had more moveset, it had better core items, it had, you know, the better entrances. It allowed me to make the show the way I wanted to make it. And sure, I couldn't do triple threat tag matches for like 3 years, basically. From late 2020 to about, well, no, early 2020 to about early 2022, I couldn't do triple threat tag matches. But I didn't really mind. I was happy with it. I had created so many characters, so many moments on that game that I wasn't gonna put that to one side just to be on a game that everybody else was on. And I think that's why a lot of people gravitated towards CEW, because it felt like its own thing. I kind of like to think of that era as us becoming the Impact Wrestling of core, in the sense of like everybody else was doing that one thing, the thing that everybody was doing and the thing that everybody was gravitating towards. But I decided I wanted to stick with my own thing and do what I wanted to do, and it garnered my own audience and my own community, and that's just really cool to me. And then 2K22 came out. I got that game. It's been a ride, the 2K22 saga, let me tell you. The fact that it has been over a year since that game has come out, and I just want to have a look at how much content I've actually made for that game. We've done about 28 videos, it says, CEW-wise, and about, like, 9 EPW-related videos. There's probably a couple more that I forgot to put in the playlist. So, I've done about 30 videos, which isn't, like, super crazy, but it's not, like, terrible either. But it's been very hit and miss. We've done 8 episodes of Mayhem and Explosion, and we're about to do our first proper 2K22 pay-per-view a year after the game came out. Part of that is to do with the fact that I had a lot of college stuff to do, i.e. my diploma work. Part of it had to do with just how I was running the show, and part of it just had to do with unfortunate timing and circumstances with a lot of things. You know, it happens, and hopefully we can move on. Hopefully there are things that, you know, can be done to, you know, make life a lot easier for me, going forward after Fight Forever. But I see the road ahead being weird, in the sense that, like, whilst I don't think there's going to be as much content as you guys have seen in the last 5 years, I think the content that is going to come out is going to be a step up. It's going to be better than what it has been in the last 5 years. And that's just all I hope, is that the content I put out is better than what I originally put out before. And that's just my mindset and how I approach things. So that was kind of the retrospective we're nearly 20. We are basically 20 minutes into this podcast. This is going to be a long one, but it's Q&A time. So, for those of you watching on YouTube who aren't a part of the Discord server, I did put up a community post asking for questions. I didn't get any from the community tab, but I got a lot from Discord. So, we are going to be answering some questions. I will be saying the names of people who have asked the questions, because I feel like it's cool to say, like, hey, this person asked. So, these, we got quite a few questions here, so we're just going to go in chronological order. So, Young Samurai, Kyle, you know, he asked, has there ever been a character you felt you dropped the ball on, one you could have booked better on the show itself? And I feel like it's tricky, because I can't say anyone on the current roster. Because to me, unless they're gone, I can't really say I dropped the ball on them. Because there's always a chance to turn it around. And there's always a chance to give them that one character that turns them from babyface Blake Payne to the golden touch Blake Payne. I would say Seth Styles. I think we had something at the beginning making him the first world champion. But, of course, you know, when you're booking it as a 15-year-old kid who just really likes having title matches, you know, naturally your world champions and just champions in general aren't going to feel as polished. But I think if I was to book it now, if I was to book the beginning of CEW again, and someone said you have to have Seth Styles as world champion, because I'll keep it real, Shane Torres should have won that tournament, because it's Shane Torres, and he's really, really good. But if you gave me the chance to rebook Seth Styles as world champion, at that time, it probably would have been a lot better. So Daniel asked a few questions, I believe. Yeah, he asked 2. So we'll do his first one, and then we'll go to the second one. So, what advice would you give for booking characters after feuds have finished? Whether the person has won or lost moving onwards, without rushing them into another feud, whilst not leaving them in the dust at the same time. So basically, I think the question asks, how would I book someone without immediately putting them back into another feud? And I think it's all to do, and this is why Explosion is I think is a good format, is it allows me to go, okay, who isn't really doing a lot at the moment? Who can I give some cool matches to? And who can I keep feeling fresh and keep them in the back of people's minds without being like they're going straight back into something? I think the best way to book someone, even if they've lost or won, is you develop their character some more. You tell us why that win or that loss has impacted them one way or another, negatively or positively. And you keep them moving on momentum-wise, whether that's downward with or upward, depending on the story you're telling. I think that's an interesting one. And then the next question. Any cause you regretted turning face or heel? Nick Sullivan. Turning Nick Sullivan face basically killed him. Dead in the water. Because he was meant to be in a tag team with Max McCarthy, but because he was in a tag team with Max on another show, CWA, that's a blast from the past as well. But at the time, Max was a part of Dynasty with Blake Payne, and unfortunately that didn't work. So by turning him face after his good heel run in the world title tournament back in season 3, I think that basically just killed everything that I had with Nick Sullivan, and it's arguably the biggest regret. I think that, and if I'm really looking at it, I should have turned Kyrie heel a long time before I ended up actually doing it. Because I think heel Kyrie does work well, but the current face gimmick of Kyrie works good too. So we're now going to move on to my boy Ryan, who also asked 2 questions. His first question what has been the funnest core to book and what has been the hardest core to book? Funnest Rock and Rave experience by a country mile, because my goodness, they are so fun. I can just do anything with them because so many people, and like this is a thing that I feel like happens a lot with core, is that a lot of people are too afraid to have their character look goofy or, you know, look a little bit stupid every now and then. And I feel like I can do the goofy stuff for the Rock and Rave experience and it doesn't affect them at all because that's just them. That's their character. And the hardest core to book. I can't really name one, but I feel like it's when I look at them and I can't tell what their gimmick's meant to be or who they're meant to be. And all I have to go on is like a nickname and the fact that they're a good wrestler. There are some characters that can do the I'm a good wrestler really well because they've got a good backstory for it. And through that, there's character. But when I'm given nothing, and this happens with my own characters a lot as well, but it does happen with one or two external peeps I currently have as well. When I only have you're a good wrestler and maybe like a little bit of backstory to go on, it's so difficult to book that character, especially when it's not your own, because if you step out of line or you do something that the person doesn't agree with because that's their character, it's very difficult because then they'll tell you, well, that's not what they would do. And then I'm kind of there like, well, if that's not what they would do, then you have to explain that to me. It's kind of like a bit of a tricky one. And then Ryan also asked your personal favorite and least favorite CEW pay-per-views. Now, I did do a tier list on this a long time ago. I think it was just the ones on the network. But I think my favorite pay-per-view has to be Invictus from, I think that was 2021, I want to say. And my least favorite is probably King of the Ring from the Byronite channel. 6-hour pay-per-view. It had no reason being that long. It just was that long. And yeah. So what did I put in the bottom of the tier list? So I put X Factor from 2020, I think. In could have been better. And I have to agree, but I think King of the Ring from the Byronite channel was just ridiculously too long, and I ain't a fan of that one player. And now we get on to quite a few questions from my homie, the man that made the intro for CEW Retro back in 2020. You guys know him as Trezor, and he has a few questions. He had quite a few to ask, and I'm just going to rattle them off. What would you say is the best match you've ever recorded? From a storyline perspective, it is Sky Simmons versus Mayu Shigata from Kingdom of Glory. And from just, it's an absolute banger. It's either Stanley Owens versus Ben Jenkins or Blake Payne versus Braxton Myers from Down in Flames. 3 of the best matches I think I've ever done, and 3 matches that are not going to be as easily replicated. What are some things you wish you knew when starting CEW? It's okay to take breaks. That's literally the thing that I've learned the most. It's okay to take breaks. You do not owe the people, and like, I mean this in the nicest way possible. The best advice I could give, like, my younger self when I first started this, is you do not owe the people in your roster anything just because they watch. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I don't mean that as in, oh, the people that watch don't matter, the people who tune in don't matter. I mean it in a sense of, just because someone watches all of your content does not mean that they should be the World Heavyweight Champion. The World Heavyweight Champion should be the guy that has the best gimmick, the best story, a person who you could put the belt on, someone watches for the first time and goes, that is a good world champion. I think that's an important thing. And also just, you don't have to put everybody that tunes in on your roster. That's just something. Best and worst feud. So, I'm gonna say the best feud is, it's still kind of going, is probably Sky Mayu, because that doesn't have a conclusion. You know, Mayu might have won the belt, but let's just be real here. I don't think Sky is going to be fully done with that. And the worst feud, I guess you could say feuds that never got finished. So, there was the initial Shane Torres Jinku feud from, like, 2020, 2021, I think, that we just never finished. Obviously, it had, like, an end at Kingdom of Glory in a sense. It technically wasn't even finished. But I think the fact that that wasn't finished kind of hurt it, and I wish there was an ending, because I think, you know, that would have been really, really good at the time. I think just shout-outs to any of the feuds that weren't finished. I always feel like unfinished feuds are the worst ones. What character do you feel like you booked the best / enjoyed booking the most? So it's kind of similar to Ryan's question. The character I feel like I've booked the best is actually Stanley Owens. He's not been overbooked or overprotected. I haven't booked him into a corner where no one can beat him. I've booked him as a man who has grown. A man who has developed his skills since showing up in Extra in early 2019 and has been just climbing up the ranks ever since, and is now the world champion and is now the guy. And enjoyed booking Rock and Rave Experience. They are my favorite guys to book. And what is the final chapter? I always say this, and that is that CEW will have a final chapter. I will write it, and that will be it. Book closed, and that will be me done in this world of virtual wrestling. What it is just that. It's the end. When the time comes, that will be it. And I will be done with either content creation as a whole or traditional core content. Because I always feel like when you are creating something, there should always be an end. There should. There should absolutely. Because if you drag it on for too long, you overstay your welcome. And I will die on the hill that is, you know, if you overstay your welcome, things will become rusty, things will become stale, and it won't be as enjoyable. So that's kind of the final chapter. And then one more question from Jinku. What's been your favorite character to work with that isn't your own? Billy Zunner recently has been so much fun, and I don't think the All Day Championship would be as good without Billy Zunner right now. Bob Parks is also another one that I just think I brought him in to do stuff with Braxton, which I think shows you just how much I like Bob Parks. Obviously, he won the Cruiserweight Invitational as well, and I just think that, you know, the Bob Parks is such a good character in the sense that, you know, the promos, the personality, the look, it just all works together for this so good all-round package that, like, I'll keep it real. Jinku doesn't, like, whilst Jinku does pitch stuff for Bob Parks, I don't need to constantly chase him up and be like, hey, what would Bob Parks do in this situation? Because we all kind of, like, I've, like, spoken to him about Bob Parks so much that I kind of get what this man would do. So I don't need to have Jinku micromanage Bob Parks. I just have him focus on some of the bigger things and kind of where Bob Parks is going to go after certain things are done. And I think that's all the questions. Yeah. So, I think that will be it for the podcast. This was a longer one because, again, it's the 5-year anniversary. What am I going to do? Talk for like 10 minutes and then just wrap it up? This was always going to be a longer episode. And all I'm going to say is keep an eye on the community tab once this comes out, because I think basically after the length of the podcast, there is going to be an announcement, because I don't have the graphic made when this is done. But for the anniversary month, we will be doing a very, very interesting matchup, and the graphic will be on the community tab, or it might even be on here because I can just edit it in. We will be doing a 10-man Vader Memorial Battle Royal for the CEW All-Day Championship. When that's gonna be, I don't know. It could be a week from now, it could be a couple days from now. But I'm gonna keep it real as well. I'm just gonna let the AI do what it wants to do with that match, okay? So, it will be Kenichi Hikaru stepping in, defending his championship against 9 people looking to capture the All-Day Championship in what should be a very fun Vader Memorial Battle Royal. The winner will not only be the All-Day Champion, but they will carry around with them the Vader Memorial Championship. So that's a little thing that I thought I would just announce now, because why not? I've been Byron. This has been the CEW Podcast. Thank you all for being with us, for sticking around and being a member of the CEW Network community. Whether you've been here for like a week, whether you've been here for a day, whether this is the first thing you're watching, or whether you've been here for 5 years since the Byronite channel. From the bottom of my heart, genuinely, thank you. You know, I always like to say that this is my passion project, and, you know, I don't really care how many people watch my stuff, but genuinely, the support I have had over the last 5 years, oh my god, why am I getting emotional? Dear god. You know, the fact that we are nearly at 500 subscribers as well is just, it was something I never thought was possible when I first started doing this as a 15-year-old kid, just trying to have fun and make YouTube videos, and now I'm nearly 20 years old. And, you know, I'm here and I'm still making stuff, and I'm doing it at a standard that I'm really happy with, and I've actually done it at such a high standard that I was able to show it off as part of my portfolio to help me get into my degree course. It's just insane. And again, you know, as much as I like to say, oh, it doesn't matter how many people tune in, the fact that people do, and the fact that people genuinely enjoy watching my stuff so much that they want to work with me, that they want me to help them do stuff, whether it's logos, arenas. You know, I've had offers to do like commentary and stuff, and I've done commentary in other places. You know, I've sent cores over to other people. I've brought cores in. I've done really cool stuff. I even got someone that I have, like, you know, someone outside of my community that I really, really enjoy watching and enjoy his stuff in ZK. I've even had him appear on an episode or two, and it's insane. And genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because, you know, this has been an incredible journey for 5 years. I don't know how much longer we've got. You know, we've got a road to go. There is an end, like I always said, but, you know, until that day comes, I'm going to keep giving you 110% of what I'm capable of, and I will continue to give you the content that you guys have tuned in for time after time, week after week, month after month, year after year, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's been the podcast. I've been Byron, and I will see you all next time.